Hello Nantes. Bonjour Nantes. Je vois quelques visages que je reconnais. I'm very sorry to everyone. I will be doing the conference in English today. It's probably because I feel a little bit more comfortable. However, absolutely fine to ask questions in France later. Wonderful thing is I can't see anything, so it's brilliant. Just to begin, this is my first time in Nantes. I don't know if any of you, this is your first time in Nantes as well, or most of you from Nantes, but it's absolutely amazing. I got to go to Crêperie. I got to have beurre caramel. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for allowing me to have that experience and be here with you today. It is absolutely amazing. Now, just moving on first before I get to, what is the core of what we're here to talk about today? I wanted to ask some of you guys in the audience, and you're gonna have to raise your hands and really fly your arms up and down, because I can't see you. Anyone here, have you ever made a reservation? Just raise your hands. Booking, réserve, quelque part. Je vous adore si c'était dans un resto. Si c'était dans un resto, les deux mains, s'il vous plaît, comme ça, comme ça, comme ça. Hyper bien, super, merci. Fantastique. So, what I want to ask you today is to please think about that experience. Think about that journey. Think about how it was. How did it make you feel? And think about the value that that reservation brought to you today during our talk and while we're going through the different stages of what customer centricity is. And I'd like you to just harness and think about that experience. I'm going to kick this off with a small sketch, I would say, from my friends at Seinfeld. I know it's very American to me. I'm Canadian, by the way, so please don't mix. Let's listen to Seinfeld.
When he talks, it sounds like he's reading from one of his novels.
Owen March. I never heard of him.
Well, he's not a baseball player.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so it sounds like it's going pretty good.
Yeah. Well, there is one little problem.
What's that?
He's 66 years old.
Next, please.
Go. 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 Come on.
Can I help you? Name, please.
Seinfeld, you made a reservation for a mid-size, and she's a small. I'm kidding around, of course.
Yes. Okay, let's see here.
66 years old?
Yeah, well, he's in perfect health. He works out. He's vibrant. You'd really like him.
Why do people always say that? I hate everybody. Why would I like him?
So what do you think? Could you go out with a 66-year-old woman?
Well, I'll tell you, she would have to be really vibrant. So vibrant, she'd be spinning.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have no midsize available at the moment.
I don't understand. I made a reservation. Do you have my reservation?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we ran out of cars.
But the reservation keeps the car here. That's why you have the reservation.
I know why we have reservations.
I don't think you do. If you did, I'd have a car. See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding. Anybody can just take them.
Let me speak with my supervisor.
Here we go. The supervisor. You know what she's saying over there?
What?
Hey, Marge, see those two people over there? They think I'm talking to you. So you pretend like you're talking to me. Okay, now you start talking.
Oh, you mean like this, so it looks like I'm saying something, but I'm not really saying anything at all?
Okay, now you say something else, and they won't yell at me because they thought I was checking with you.
Oh, great, I think that's enough. See you later.
I'm sorry, my supervisor says there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it looked like you were in a real conversation over there.
But we do have a compact if you would like that.
Fine.
All right. Well, we have a blue Ford Escort for you, Mr. Seinfeld. Would you like insurance?
Yeah, you better give me the insurance because I am going to beat the hell out of this one.
Please, fill this out.
So what do you think? You think I'm making a big mistake?
Hey, if you enjoy being with him, that's what's important.
I love being with him. I mean, I like being with him. It's okay being with him.
Et bienvenue à YouTube. So, as you can see, our highest priority is satisfying our customers. Except when it's hard, or unprofitable, or we're busy. Many, many customers and many, many companies go through the journey we just saw with Seinfeld. Of course, very exaggerated. We don't go through the same experience, or maybe you have. But the reality is, every single company in some place, whether it be in the vertical or whether it be in the globality of its entirety, there's room for improvement and an opportunity to do better and truly put the customer at the core. So what is customer centricity? Why are we here today? Well, it's a strategy that puts our customer at the core of our business, at the true essence of why we're doing things, about exactly how we have become what we are today. Sounds simple, right? But the reality is, if you look at the sketch with Seinfeld, clearly, it's often the customer's the afterthought. They are not the core reason why you're doing whatever it is you're doing. So I guess my question to you then is, how do we make this shift to become more customer-centric? How do we make it happen? Well, first we start with the customer journey. So the customer journey is about understanding and identifying the touch points that you have with your customer, fundamentally understanding them and being able to harness that information. Now, some of you probably weren't born yet. I can't see all your faces, but back in 2006 and 2007, BlackBerry, that was a smartphone, had 90% market share. 90% worldwide market share of smartphones. Then along came this man. I'm assuming he doesn't need any introduction, but for those of you who don't know, it's Steve Jobs, founder and iconic inventor of Apple. What did Steve do? How did he beat BlackBerry at 90% worldwide market share? Well, it was pretty easy now that we look back on it. They came up with that amazing touch screen, and they identified and changed customer habits by harnessing and understanding the customer journey and how they could bring value to it. So what do you need to retain here? What do you need to know? Well, basically, you need to understand your customer even better than they understand themselves. Because none of us back in that time thought we actually needed what Steve Jobs gave to us. That's insane. Now, moving on to TheFork, which is near and dear to my heart. One of the reasons TheFork was created was going back and identifying that journey again. So originally, it was not possible to book, reserve. Not possible to, not planes, not trains, not automobiles, much less a restaurant, which came much later. So it was understanding that journey and looking into it to see how it is that you could add a value proposition and how you could improve your customer experience. For us, it was restaurants and diners, to be able to ease, and for us, dining out, the experience. That is what understanding the customer journey brought TheFork. Now, this is something that is a slight obsession of mine right now. And I've noticed that it's something quite painful for most of you. You can all tell me if you've had this journey. I'm just going to give you a little scenario here. You're out at a restaurant, and you're having an amazing time with friends. You're all at the table, and you know you've been at the table. You've enjoyed an amazing meal. You're sitting there, and it's time to go. It's time to pay. You're like, where's the waiter? Where's the server? Nope, not him. Oh, no. Was that the one who served? I don't know. So you hold up your hand. Je pense qu'en français on dit le douloureuse. So you ask it, check please, anybody? You have two options here. Either your waiter, your server sees you, they seize the opportunity, and sometime between 5 and 10 minutes later, they bring you the bill because they saw you asking for the check, or you finally grab their attention, and they come back to your table, and you say, please, may I have the check? I'd like to go. Then they go back to the table. Some probably at the beginning of the restaurant, ring into the till, and then when they're not stopped by 5 other tables, they come running back to you with the check. Usually this takes anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, okay? When that happens, around your table, your party of your friends, you say, you guys figure out how you're gonna pay. It turns out that you all wanna pay with a credit card. Okay. Oops, now you gotta ask for the credit card machine. So then you have to ask for your per server to go look for that one machine. You know that little black machine that they have in the restaurant? You have to ask for your waiter to go and find that one machine that probably another server has, or it's somewhere in the office or somewhere else, and they have to run around and search for that one machine so that you can pay on the credit card. Another 5, maybe I'm exaggerating, 3 minutes go by. Okay. Fantastic. He brings the machine over to you. Everyone's there. You pass your credit card. Shit. I'm not supposed to say that, am I? Merde. You don't have any cash. How are you going to tip your server? And it goes on. So you feel like a horrible person. You've wasted 20 minutes of your life, and you're frustrated. Both the restaurant and yourselves. Well, it was understanding this journey and harnessing these pain points that TheFork decided to implement inside your reservation the ability to pay. Therefore, click on your reservation, make sure your credit card details are in there, Apple Pay, Google Pay, take your pick, whatever your poison is on your payment. Even Fork gift cards, by the way. You pass, you click, you pay, and off you go on your journey, guys. It's amazing. That's it. No pain. But what's more important is it's not just a win for the diner situation. It's a win for the restaurant as well. Because the reality is, restaurants are there to serve you an amazing dining experience, not payment experience. That is not their core service. So if we can liberate, can you imagine in a restaurant, liberating a restaurant 5, 10, 15 minutes of their time so that they can serve better another table and they can dedicate themselves to what they do really well, which is serving you. It's a win-win for everybody. You get to go on your journey, and they get to do what they do well, which is serving you amazing. So after we've looked at how and understood how we engage in the touch points of the customer journey, we move towards the customer experience. So the customer experience, basically, in essence, is how do you make the customer feel? How is it that they feel when they engage with you, with your products, with your services, other? There's many, many ways on which you as a company, you as a service, you as a product can engage. But one of the most powerful ways nowadays, especially in the digital tech world, which is why we're all here today, is data. It is unbelievable how, if you harness data correctly and you use it to your advantage and that of your customer or your marketplace or your service, how you can enhance your customer experience. At TheFork, for example, using customer or restaurant data, harnessing and personalizing that experience allows me to give the right value proposition to the right moment at the right time, which makes you have an experience that you were searching for. I personally love this one example. There's many out there, by the way. You can check them out. This is from Spotify. It was on a billboard in Los Angeles, just so you know, a huge billboard. And it says, "Dear person in LA who listened to the Forever Alone playlist for 4 hours on Valentine's Day, are you okay?" So what do they demonstrate here, guys? Besides the fact that they have a phenomenal processing ability, they were able to demonstrate through data and through their own technology how they cared about an individual. And they were able to show the world how they care about each individual who uses their services, all within one statement. It's pretty insane. Another example, sorry for the Americanisms, Canadianisms. I could put Dijon moutarde, but unfortunately it doesn't really serve my purpose because it's already customer-centric and a lot easier to use. So it doesn't really serve my purpose here for this example. So any of you who remember back in the day, Heinz bottle of ketchup, you had to hit it. You couldn't get the ketchup out. You had to get a knife and try and get the ketchup out because it just would not come out. It was the most frustrating experience. But at the same time, you had to buy Heinz because that was the best ketchup. So they'd already gotten you hooked on their product, but their historical icon of a bottle was not good for the customer experience. So what they ended up doing was they ended up sacrificing and giving up their iconic symbolic bottle, which was their identity as Heinz, in favor of a more user-friendly product because they understood and fundamentally embraced the fact that the customer experience was much more important than their own identity as a company. So I don't know if any of you guys were at the stand last night. You can all just say yes, just to make me happy. Can't see you anyways. We celebrated our 15 years at TheFork the other day. So 15 years young, by the way. Thank you very much. 15 years as a company. And I have to say that one of the founding factors was at the beginning, the very, very, very start, was finding a way to be able to understand the voice and the customer experience, which is actually what ended up creating our mission statement that we have today, which is bringing happiness through amazing dining experiences. Now, why do you care about that? Well, TheFork is a marketplace, which means that we needed to come up with something that not only embraced restaurants, but also embraced diners. And the reality is bringing happiness through amazing dining experiences is exactly what restaurants do to you each time you go. That is their mission statement as well. We are perfectly aligned. And the reason why you go to a restaurant is to have an amazing dining experience. Therefore, it's the full circle. We're right in the middle. We're right where we need to be. And every time we think or reflect on why we're going to do something or why we shouldn't do something, we go back to making sure that it's core with this experience that 15 years ago we set to have. So I'm imagining out here, I don't know how many of you guys have kids, but when you go out to have an amazing evening with your partner, I'm pretty damn sure it's not the same restaurant you're going to pick to go out with your kids. On a Saturday, chances are they're not the same experience at all, nor should they be. But then the question is, how do we at TheFork understand and achieve to be able to deliver you different experiences for the same human? Well, part of it comes with the understanding that we have through the data we were looking at and many other things, how we have to push and demonstrate to you through the showcasing of restaurants, the journey, the different places and the different movements you have to make, the different types of experiences so that we can pick and ensure that what we're showing you matches what you're really looking for, which also means that I'm then again delivering on that experience that we just talked about before, right? I cannot make you happy if I am not delivering the right experience at the right time for you. So we've looked at the journey, we've looked at how we make the customer feel, but what's left is the value proposition. It's really important to understand the customer value. What do they value? What do you need to focus on? What is it? What is that one Apple experience, or what is that one iconic throwaway that you need to be able to deliver that extra value? Because at the end of the day, it's about retaining and growing with that customer, not just acquiring them and moving on. So all of you out there, I'm pretty sure nowadays you understand you all have much more power and much more voice than you can imagine. You have an uncanny ability to shape what it is and how it is you're going to experience whatever product, service, company in the future. It is this voice that should be present in absolutely everything that you do. When I mean everything, I mean everything. I mean job descriptions. I mean the reason why you're creating something, why you're not doing something, the reason why you're servicing or unservicing. I don't care. The voice of the customer needs to be present at all times throughout the decision. You're probably wondering, why did this crazy Canadian put an empty table up here on the screen? Well, the reality is because one of the ways that companies have now figured out to keep the customer present at all times in key decisions and key reasoning and key debates is to keep an empty chair, just like I have here on the set, present at all times, so that you remember physically that the customer voice is there and they should be heard at all times. And they should be at the core of what and why you are doing what you are doing. That is why the empty chair. So, the founders at TheFork, how did they harness all that? Well, they started by just reflecting on what it is that you are going through. How do I know if it's a good restaurant? How would I know what's going to happen? Oh gosh, I need to make a booking. It's midnight. The restaurant's closed. I'm calling. No one's answering. Those were those values and those propositions that they were reflecting on when they came up with how to enhance the restaurant experience, both on the restaurant side and both on the customer side. Now, TheFork was founded originally by that book there. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. I'm hoping to God in the room you tell me no, because that means I've done my job very poorly if you tell me you know what it is. Originally in restaurants, you had a reservation book. It was this big, thick booklet. It's an agenda where you put your name, your party, your phone number, all of those things. And they took the reservation down, and it was a terribly painful point where you had to phone, you had to show up, you had to know. Well, TheFork decided that they could probably ease that journey, that experience, and add value to that by digitalizing the book, which is now called the Electronic Reservation Book. And it is now implemented. And funny fact, 𝐜𝐨𝐧𝐼𝐸, who we just celebrated our 15-year anniversary with, was one of the pioneers who tested and learned with us to very begin what is the creation of TheFork today. And he's still with us 15 years later. Now, if we move on to the user side, which many of you are here in the room, or you're lying to me blatantly, that's all fine too. What do we do? Well, on the user side, one of the most important things is the voice that you have. I don't know if any of you have any idea how many reviews we have, but it's 20 million. Not 1 million, not 2 million, 20 million. Which means when you think back, which is a whole nother presentation we won't get into today, but you think back about the fact that as a user, you had no voice. You had no ability just a few years back. Now, you've all been a part of democratizing what is the restaurant industry with your 20 million reviews. So we've done the customer journey, the experience, the value. What happens when you join all those together? Well, at the crossroads of those three is where you find customer centricity. It is the consistent application of the overlapping and the understanding of the journey, the experience, and the value, where you begin to harness and understand what you need to do to become more customer-centric. Remember, it's not a job. It's certainly not a project. And it goes on forever. It's not just a one-off thing. It is everybody's job, and it is ongoing. It's something that you just have to keep working on and working on and working on. So when you ask me how it is that as a company I can become more customer-centric or start that journey, connect with your customers. Build and leverage your customer knowledge, like we saw with the data. It's absolutely insane what you're able to do. It doesn't matter if it's just a tech company, trust me. Challenge process and policies. Remember Heinz? They gave away their iconic value to be more customer-centric and amplify the voice of the customer. Think of that silly empty table. Make sure you leave that one chair to be a physical representation of the customer at all times. Now, I don't know if anyone knows who this is. This is Maya Angelou. She's a poet. And she said something that struck me years ago, and I use it all the time. People will forget what you said, what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Now, I ask you to go back and think about that reservation we were talking about at the very beginning of today. Think about that experience you had, that journey, the value it brought or didn't bring to you, And that, my friends, is where you begin. Thank you.